Hey guys, I remember when I was first starting my rental business and I was trying to set up my QuickBooks so that I can eventually have profit and loss reports to tell me accurately how much money I'm making every month. I actually had a really hard time trying to figure out what kind of expenses I should be categorizing, and so that's what this video is about. I'm not going to go through my whole QuickBooks with you. All I'm going to tell you today is all of the line items that you would see on my profit and loss statement, or all of the things that I'm tracking and how I classify them so that it could hopefully help you. Definitely not legal advice or finance advice, but just really what I'm doing to help me in my profit and loss report. So if you're ready for that, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Lifestyle Leaps. My name is Diem. On this channel, we talk about financial freedom and early retirement. A lot of times we talk about how to do that through real estate investing. And today in particular, we're going over the profit and loss statement itemization on the left-hand side of your report. So if you're ready, let's jump into it. Like I said before, I'm not going to go over in detail about the report itself, but I'm just going to tell you what categories I use, okay? And maybe what they mean. For rental income, I actually break it down into two categories. I do regular rental income and short-term rental income. I'm not actually entirely sure how my accountant uses it, but I know that there is probably something to distinguish about that. So I just keep it separate in case we need the number separated. If not, they have the total at the end. So I keep those separate. Then as we work our way down the list, I've got a broad category of cost of goods sold. So what that includes for me is like cleaning and maintenance service. So cleaning the units as the turnovers, any laundry service, if you send out for laundry, landscaping, maintenance service, like gutter cleanings, anything that has to do with keeping the house in order for guests to be able to use it and for you to rent it out. So that's what I think of when I think of like cost of goods sold. And then, pool service. If you live in the snow, that might mean plowing service. I don't know what other things you would consider for your space, but that's kind of the gist of it. Then I've got supplies in this same category of cost of goods sold, so supplies to keep your unit running. I have it broken into two categories. One is consumable goods, things that will be used up and will need to be replaced, like coffees, teas, sugars, things like that, spices, but also even things like batteries, light bulbs, anything that will need to be replenished. The other one is replacement items, non-consumable goods. So that's things that do need to get replaced, but isn't used up on a regular basis. This could be things like towels, forks that go missing, plates that break, things like that. So moving on, I also have a line item for transient occupancy tax, and that is for my short-term rental units in California, where I do have to pay a transient occupancy tax for that. I like to keep that right under or inside the cost of goods sold, because to me, cost of goods sold is all the expenses it takes to run this unit as a rental, right? And so expenses include the taxes, because that's not like your ordinary tax that you would pay later, like income tax or property tax. Then the next category I have is an umbrella category of utilities. And so in utilities, I include things like garbage, gas and electric, water, and internet. I don't know if you have other utilities you want to add in there, but that's it for my utilities category. So then that kind of completes the cost of goods sold overarching umbrella. And then from there, we kind of get the gross profit. So what are we working with now to pay our bills, right? So down in our other expenses, I've got advertising and marketing. Under that category, I would list something like maybe Furnished Finders, which is one of the platforms I use to list the units for midterm rentals. I have to pay a fee once a year for each unit I list on that platform. And so that's where I would add that expense, is inside advertising and marketing. Then we've got auto and travel. This category I actually use pretty often because two of my homes are out of state properties. Sometimes we will take flights there, sometimes we drive there, sometimes we take flights there and we rent cars there. The reasons for our visits there would be for travel, to work, right? So I'm not just traveling there on vacation. If I was going to my houses just on vacation, those expenses would not go inside here for auto and travel. That would be a personal expense. However, I would never do something like that. I would always use a trip to conduct business and to vacation at the same time. That way I can use it as a work expense. So underneath auto and travel, I've got auto rental, mileage if I use my own car, travel meaning like airplane tickets or Uber rides or anything like that, bus rides, and then I've got travel meals. So I classify meals when I'm traveling separate than meals at home. Don't quote me on this, but I think the reason why I do that is because traveling meals are 100% deductible. Dining out at home over a business discussion, I think, is only like 50% deductible, something like that. But there's a reason why I separate the two. So moving down, the next categories I've got are like bank charges and fees. Like sometimes my bank has a minimum balance fee of $10 if I don't meet their minimum balance criteria in that month. I've got fines and penalties in here. I've got a home office. So for my home office, how I do it is I just calculate I think it's called like the simple method to calculate your deduction for your home office. So I just take the square footage of the home office, times it by $5 and times it by 12 months of the year. And that's what I put in there for the home office write-off. I also have home warranties there, insurances, legal and professional fees like accounting fees or bookkeeping fees go in there. Attorney's fees would go in there as well. And then I've also got room for management fees. I currently don't have like a professional property manager, but I do have a gal that helps me out with managing my properties when I'm not home or when I'm on vacation. So I put that in there. There's management software, like I use Guesty to manage all of my short-term and mid-term bookings. Totally recommend them if you haven't heard of them before. I do have a referral link for a savings for you down below, but it's a great platform to offer management of different properties, even through different platforms. Like if people book on VRBO or Airbnb, or you want to add manually a booking into there, or through booking.com, it all funnels into your Guesty app so you can manage all of your bookings in one place. And it also helps you automate messages and automate giving reviews to those people as well. Moving on, we've got your regular meals. So when I go out to eat and discuss business with other people, or when my husband and I go out to eat, I put that under meals. Then there's the mobile phones. Then I have a different section for networking meals. I actually don't know if this matters or not, but if I go out to have a meal, not specifically to discuss my business, but it's part of a networking event to make contacts that are industry specific, I put those meals in here. Not sure if that matters. Then I've also got a space for like decorations, household items, furniture, and fixtures. These are oftentimes one-time expenses or just to replace something. It is not a regular occurring type of expense and often happens just when you set up the property at the beginning. I've got a section for repairs as well. And then there are office supplies and materials. There's taxes like business taxes. Training and education is a line item in here. Then I also have a category called uncategorized expenses, where if my bookkeeper doesn't know where to put something, they might put it there and I'll categorize it later. And then I also have, damages reimbursement. So if somebody damaged something, I put that into damage reimbursement. You could just put it into income because then you're going to replace that item and then you're going to use that money as an expense. So it crosses itself out anyways. I don't think it's necessary to have a different category. In fact, I probably will eliminate that category. There's interest earned in your bank accounts or interest paid, right? Like, so interest expense if you aren't making your credit card payments every month and you have credit card interest. And then I've got like the mortgage stuff down below. So I've got county property tax, mortgage insurance, mortgage interest are all below. And then I have a section that's called Ask My Accountant. So it's something that I need to go over with my accountant in order to know where to classify that. So the uncategorized expenses and the Ask My Accountant are just placeholders for you to be able to categorize that item, but that you will then need to assign them a home once you figure out what you're doing. And that completes it. And then once you enter all of those in, you should have net income at the bottom to show you what you actually profited. One factor to consider is that paying, like when you make a mortgage payment, let's say it's $3,000, X number of dollars goes to the escrow to pay for property tax and mortgage insurance, then another portion goes to interest payments. The rest goes to pay down your principal. But because principal pay down is not an expense, that will not be showing up. So you will see principal pay down as part of your net income. And so that's an interesting fact to consider, right? Because even though your net income might read a high amount, part of that goes to principal. You actually don't receive that in cash or sitting in your bank account. It is showing up as equity. Anyway, you guys, that completes it for my profit and loss categories. I hope you found that helpful. And if you have any questions, comment down below so that I can make other videos for you to help you on your financial freedom journey. And I'll see you next week.